I'm Brenda Gardner. I'm the program director for RainCity Partnerships, which is a community-based public-private partnership where the private partners, CIS, work with our public partner, Seattle Public Utilities, and our community partners as well, to bring green stormwater infrastructure on private property in Seattle to alleviate um, flooding and water quality issues, to protect our environments, salmon, and just generally make Seattle an even more incredible place to live. So CIS really is, I think like a consultant for green stormwater infrastructure, but we're really more than that. So I think when you think of typical consulting, there is kind of an association with AEC firms, and we're a little bit different than that. We really focus on this community-based partnership, and we see that through the programs that we have nationally with Clean Water Partnership, being one of our foundational programs, and really just the amazing work that they've been able to do there through green stormwater infrastructure, but also with uplifting the community, and small WIMBY contracting firms. And so we've been able to mirror that in Seattle and do a lot of similar type work and similarly different programs throughout the country, that we've been able to do. So we're focused really on these community-based public-private partnerships. And I think one of the things that differentiates us from a lot of other consultant firms is that we don't self-perform the work. We hire other firms to do that. So what I do in Seattle is I'm the program manager for RainCity Partnerships. So I'm managing the program along with my cohort there, which is just one other person. So just two of us. And we're really just leading a team of subconsultants that are doing the work. And those subconsultants are local firms, local design firms, local engineering firms, local outreach firms. And they have these relationships already with community, with stakeholders, with partners. And so it's leveraging a lot of relationships that are already existing to be able to make this work really meaningful, and to know that, there's kind of some built-in trust there. So I think that's really what I think sets us apart, is that we're really meaningful in how we're approaching community, how we work with folks, building those relationships, and not expecting people to immediately trust CIS, but working with folks that are recognized and known in the area and slowly building that trust through our partners. I would say that CIS is a little bit like a startup, which I have never
Mm.
experienced before. I've worked in really like typical engineering firms, and I learned a lot through those, and I worked in government. And so there's just opportunity to do anything that you want to do, really. So I think if you had asked me, 10 years ago when I was 5 years into my career, if this is where I would be, it's probably not what I thought. But I think that my time working for Seattle Public Utilities really put me on a track, to be more focused on how engineering impacts the communities that we live and work in, and to be able to be part of a team that is really genuine and wanting to do good for our communities, I think is huge. And it speaks to my personal values as well. And so one of the benefits of working here is that my personal values match CIS's values. And that's really big for me. So I think that, folks who are looking to really live their values and what they do for a living, would do well here, especially if they're looking at impacting communities in a positive way. I think a lot of times when we are looking at infrastructure from an engineering standpoint, historically, some of the impacts haven't always been positive, or they've been positive to some communities, but not all communities. And I think, working here is a really big opportunity to do right by our communities and to make lasting positive impacts. I
Mm.
think that what we're seeing in the market is that a lot of these CBP3 programs are happening in bigger cities. that have capacity um, to do this kind of work or to support these types of programs. I think one of the major things that I see advisory doing is making it more accessible to smaller municipalities or figuring out ways to bring this type of program to other other municipalities, other cities, other utilities that maybe have less capacity than some major urban areas. And so I think we're starting to see that shift. We're starting to see a lot of other municipalities and cities really interested in what CIS is doing and what other folks are doing with CBP3s. And advisory is really there to support those conversations and lead on what community outreach and engagement should look like for these types of programs and building cases to help folks get these programs up and running. So it's really just like supporting the whole process and then from there, asset management can take it and run with it and we can manage the programs. But they're, I think, just really integral in getting more of these types of programs up and running throughout the nation.
Mhm. I guess circling back to your perspective or your professional experience, what do you kind of want to accomplish in your career? That's a huge question, but especially as it relates to this, how is this helping you kind of accomplish, I guess, your overall career goals?
But I've always been really passionate about the environment and doing good for the environment. And a lot of that started to shift midway through my career as I started to see the major impacts that these projects have on surrounding communities. Reduction in flooding, um, looking at water quality and those impacts. And I think when I moved to Seattle in 2012, um, there's just a lot of folks that are interested in what's happening in infrastructure that aren't necessarily engineers. Um, and it was really cool to start working with other people and seeing these other perspectives about how what I was doing from engineering, which traditionally seems so siloed from other aspects like urban planning, and equity and all of these other different components. So for me, what I want to see with my career and what I've been able to do is really integrate all of those things. And there's a lot that I don't know, and I'm okay with not knowing everything. It's really about how do I make as many connections as I can with people who are doing this work so that we can partner together to continue to build something really great. And, it's less about legacy and more just about knowing at the end of the day that what I'm spending 40 plus hours a week doing is doing something really meaningful in a place that I love.
Mm.
Folks should join if they're inspired to do good work for their communities. If they have a skill set that is maybe not traditional to engineering and urban planning, there's still a spot, in this industry for you. I think that CIS is really great at being flexible and like seeing value in everything that folks bring to the table. So if you feel passionate about the work that you're doing, if you feel passionate about doing good things for your community, and building partnerships, building relationships, and um, working in infrastructure, then you should absolutely join our team because that's what we want. We want passionate people who are going to jump in and do good work.